is going on, my beautiful rebellion? It is your tiny rebellious leader, and welcome back to another time-lapse video. Like, gasp! So soon after the last one? What is going on? And this time, for once, it is not Portal, but actually my favorite thing to draw, Dungeons and Dragons. As of recording this, I am actually in 3 separate campaigns. It used to be 4, but as of last week, the campaign came to an end, so it's back down to 3. What can I say? I'm a theater kid. I love performing, and because I'm not in any productions, this is like the next best thing. It is also my government-sanctioned socialization time, so yeah. And as an artist, and mainly the sole artist of each of these groups, I tend to draw moments or characters from the campaigns. What I am drawing right here is actually a moment that happened in a session 2 weeks ago in my Thursday campaign. For a little bit of background context, the Thursday campaign that I am in actually takes place in Exandria after the Critical Role campaigns 1 and 2. So, Vox Machina and the Mighty Nine exist. And for the past few sessions, we have been in Ank'Harel trying to deal with the Cult of Vecna. They've kind of been the problem since session 1. And somehow, we got teleported all the way from Taldore to Xhorhas. Hence our IRL group name. Not party name, but IRL group name, the Xhorhasians. So, back to the present moment. The party is currently in Ank'Harel and has followed some of the cultists into, like, this mausoleum that actually leads into a catacomb sewer system hideout area. We had followed the cultists to this hideout because we were given a list of very important people that know some very important information pertaining to this whole situation that had been mysteriously going missing. And we had already found a few of them. Of course, some combat with some undead had happened because the entrance was in a mausoleum. There's more combat, more party shenanigans. One of the characters goes through major plot development, which of course I'll probably talk about at a later date or maybe even draw any of that, but that's not the scene that we're talking about. The scene that I'm drawing right now happens after. After all of the previously aforementioned stuff happens, we go up a set of stairs on the other side of the room that we had entered from. Because, see, here's the thing. All of that stuff that I just mentioned happened inside rooms from the room that we had entered from. So now we're finally going deeper into the hideout. We open the door, walk down a very short hallway into another room where we appear at the top of yet some more stairs. And that landing overlooks the rest of the room, which is full of cultists. And when I say full of cultists, I mean like 2 to 4 of them, plus 2 mages, a weird cat creature thing, and apparently a guy that one of our party members, Velinor, recognizes, but I forgot the name of, so I can't tell you. Actually, later on in the video, whenever I start working on the background, you'll see a screenshot of what a bit of the room looks like. That's because when we are doing our sessions, we are also playing in Tailspire, which is just like a great way to provide visuals to the environment that you're in. And it's also really good for me as an artist to provide references. Aha! So of course, you know, we get spotted, obviously. Roll for initiative, the fight begins. At some point during the fight, the majority of the party ends up on the lower main level of the room, excluding 2 people. Those 2 people are Albin and Amara, played by me. If you have been following any of my other platforms, you would kind of know Amara at this point. She is a tiefling bard/rogue, which actually during this campaign, a little while ago, it changed from a bard/rogue to a bard/warlock, and her patron is basically this infernal/fae drag queen. No context is needed, it's just epic. And Albin is the human wizard who went through the previously aforementioned character development. We tease him about basically being a Victorian boy just because he's just fragile. He's just very fragile. But we love him nonetheless, and it's all in good fun. So those two, at this point, are the only ones left at the top of the stairs at the doorway, and at some point, one of the cultists runs up the stairs that's along the side of the wall and gets face to face with Albin. Albin is, slinging spells, getting some hits on the cultist, and the cultist is doing the same thing in return. When, at some point, Amara, who is hiding behind Albin in the shadows like the shadow demon that she practically is at this point, thrusts Mythcarver, yes, you heard me correctly, Mythcarver's Scanlan sword. I need to make art about how that happened. But she thrusts Mythcarver underneath Albin's arms straight into the chest of the cultist, and the cultist falls over off the stairs, dead. Now, at the time, I rightfully thought that this was a very badass moment, but I did not get the idea to draw it until really late that night when I was trying to go to sleep, which is when I usually get my best ideas. Or my most insane. It's usually the two. In fact, the reason why I got a screenshot of those stairs was for a completely different moment that happens shortly after. So, after Amara stabs the cultist, she just jumps off the, I think it's 10-foot, landing at the top of the stairs, down into the main part of the room and starts fighting there. At some point, the girl mage, it was like a brother-sister duo of mages, but the girl mage casts Cone of Cold, and it, hits everybody, including Amara and Albin. And Albin, bless his heart, is unfortunately a wizard, and unfortunately, magic users like sorcerers and wizards really don't have a lot of hit points to begin with. And he had already been taking a few punches from that cultist and other spells that the two mages had been throwing. And when he got hit with that Cone of Cold, he dropped down to 0 hit points. Now, for those of you that don't know anything about D&D, allow me to try and quickly explain something. See, when someone gets to 0 hit points, they don't die, they just fall unconscious. And during your turn in combat, you can't really do anything except make death saving throws, which is where you roll a d20 to determine your outcome of whether or not you manage to stabilize yourself and remain unconscious or well and truly die. So, Albin drops down to 0 hit points, falls unconscious, and also down the stairs. He was literally on the stairs when he got hit with the Cone of Cold, so when he fell unconscious, he, of course, went limp, and therefore fell down a few stairs. But for Amara, she doesn't know that. She doesn't know that he's just unconscious, because when that all happens, she also gets hit with the Cone of Cold, and then hears a groan, and then hears the tumbling of something. She turns around and sees Albin in a heap, not moving. And so Amara whips back around to face this female mage, eyes just full of hatred and fury as she screams, voice heavy with emotional anguish, "You bitch!" and casts Hellish Rebuke, instantly killing the mage. I would, of course, scream the words, "you bitch," but, I live with other people and I don't want to peek my mic. But yet again, another badass moment for Amara that I hope at some point I can draw. I really do want to draw it or animate it because I think it would be really cool. So then after that happened, I quickly took screenshots of the room just in case if I ever actually got around to drawing or animating that moment. But then, late that night, I had an idea. Why not draw the really badass moment that Amara had when stabbing that cultist with Mythcarver from behind Albin in the shadows? And I know that you can see the other end of the hallway, and that Amara's eyes don't look like Bill Cipher is possessing her, but shush, I'm the artist. I'm making this choice for dramatics. I love all of my campaigns, and this one is absolutely no different. Mainly because I get to play Amara. She's honestly such an interesting character, and I do plan to talk about her later down the line. I plan to talk about all of my D&D characters later down the line, but that's not what this video is about. But I do kind of want to continue talking about the dynamic, or kind of the interactions that Albin and Amara have, because they're almost completely opposite on a lot of key aspects, like social status, upbringing, level of experiences in life, and personalities, and how they interact with others. But yet, as this drawing is clearly showing, they make such a good duo. But like, that's my personal opinion. I don't know what everyone else thinks. And both of them have been interacting a lot more, or at least Amara has been initiating more interactions between the two of them, and just with everybody else in the party. Because a couple of sessions ago, Albin's friend, Voren, who was also a tiefling, who was also in our party, died, and so that kind of gave Amara a little bit of, I guess, a dose of reality, or at least, like, the incentive or the want to try to bond with everybody more, because you never know. That, and, we're a very interesting party. Like, let me just run down the group of misfits that we are real quick. We have another wizard who is almost 400 years old and is a bird named Velinor. We have a barbarian fighter named Estralda who is 0 impulse control. We have an Aormaton who is super friendly but can crush your bones so easily. And our most recent addition, the drunken monk Arendor. When I first heard the name, I thought I heard Arendorf, like Ganondorf. But no, it's Arendor, but my brain will forever think it's Arendorf. And of course, I plan on drawing them all, especially in the badass and angsty moments that exist in this campaign, but alas, I am only one person. I am not kidding when I say that if I could draw faster and just pop out drawings with the same level of detail and effort that I put into this drawing, I would be unstoppable. I would have drawn so many scenes and moments from all the campaigns that I have been in, to the point where it would have been an animated series to practically rival Vox Machina. But don't take that too seriously. I'm just saying, I would have made an animated series by now. Anyways, back to talking about the drawing. Like with all my other pieces of art, I try my best to draw what I saw in my mind. Most of the time, I'm never successful, but this came really close. Honestly, I had to take a minute after completing the sketch to just, stop and stare, because, oh my god, the gods were smiling upon me that day when I did the sketch, because it was so good that I had to take a screenshot of it and share it with my other artist friends and be like, look at this! That's good! And this was, of course, the second time that I was recording using Streamlabs, so, I should have said this earlier, but if you see any weird cuts and stuff like that, that's just Streamlabs being a bit weird, and I'm sorry. I think, truthfully, the majority of rendering was actually a challenge. Lighting has always been a challenge for me, and this is no different. Because I was trying so hard to make the light look like how I had envisioned in my mind. Trying to make that look of soft, distant torchlight casting onto the stone walls and onto Albin, while also on the other side, it's harsh and bright purple magic. And then there was also the challenge of drawing in Amara, because I had envisioned in my mind where you could only see her eye and potentially the glint of Mythcarver, but I scrapped that because I just didn't want to give myself even more problems. I was debating between only showing her eye or potentially shading out an outline so you can kind of see her form a bit better. In the end, I asked for some outsider input and everyone liked the second option, so I decided to go with that. The other rendering challenge, I guess, was at least trying to figure out how to render in worn down stone, because I've done it once before, but I forgot how I did it. But after looking at the drawing and looking at the screenshot and spending a ton of time just messing around with all of the brushes and stamps, I finally managed to do it, and I think it looks pretty good, considering that this is the second time that I have drawn worn down, gross wet stone. But outside of rendering, the only other challenge that I faced was redesigning Albin's choker and hair. Because the guy that plays Albin went and commissioned another artist to do a slightly updated version of him, but at least updated in the hair and the choker, which, first of all, how dare you, dude? I thought we were friends. I'm joking. Actually, speaking of, as of recording this, yesterday, which was Tuesday, so as of posting this, it will be Thursday, but Tuesday, I genuinely could not hold in my excitement any further about this drawing and had to show it to him. Well, there was that reason. There was that reason of like, oh, this drawing is so good, and I have to show somebody right now. But also because I wanted to make sure that, like, Albin looked correct. So I DM'd him the drawing while we were on the group call, because we were about to do our Tuesday campaign, and I was like, hey, what do you think? Does Albin look correct? And blah, 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 blah. And he was just like, wow. Oh my god. Wow, this is really good. I especially love the lighting. Yo, he loves the lighting! Yes! Let's go! It also seems like we were on the exact same wavelength in how we envisioned that scene going. So, like, freaking hell yeah! Let's go! God, I love this drawing so much because it's so good visually, and it's creepy, and Amara is being menacing as always, and I don't think I've made the typical normal time-lapse video that most artists do, where they mainly talk about their process of like, and this is how I did this. But I'm over here like, let me talk about my characters and backstory and everything like that. Let me talk about everything besides the drawing. And then maybe I'll talk about the drawing. I think it's because my process is record the footage, put it all together, then record the audio, and depending on how much audio I record, I then speed up the video to that certain amount to match it. So it's like, I can't give you a step-by-step process, because I don't know it either. But if anyone is interested in a how I do my art, let me know. I will attempt to do so. However, to also provide a quick note, by the way, about the drawing, you will see that there is like a kind of triangle of light under Amara's eye, because I was trying to add a glow effect there, but then I realized it kind of looked a little bit too tacky and didn't work well no matter what I did, so I erased it, and unfortunately, you don't see the footage for that, and I'm sorry. Also, near the end of the video, when I'm almost done with the drawing, you'll see me, like, try to add bruises, or scratches, or dirt stains to Albin's clothes, but then, again, at the last minute, I just decided to scrap it. I really do hope that you guys like these time-lapse videos, because it just gives me a chance to show off my drawing process, and also just ramble about whatever the hell I want. But with that, this is your tiny rebellious leader, signing off.